Hi everyone, what's up and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a video that I haven't done in a really long time, and it's what I watched in the previous month. And today of course we're going to be talking about the month of August. We have officially entered fall spooky season in my eyes, so I'm very excited that we're now in September, but it's still time to talk about everything that I saw in August. I have a couple of shows to talk about, not that much because I'm terrible at watching TV shows, and I also have about 18 movies to talk about. Let's just get started talking about the TV shows. Like I said, I didn't see too many TV shows. I actually really only finished one TV show, and the other two I'm still watching because I haven't finished it. But I saw this show on Netflix. It's a Netflix original called Keep Breathing. I didn't know anything about this show going into it, and I think that's the best way to go into the show in my opinion. But essentially it's kind of like a survival show. That's kind of all I'm gonna leave it at. I think it's very watchable, but it wasn't anything crazy. I think it's a very different type of survival show than I thought it was going to be. You know, when I kind of knew what the show was going to be about, it was definitely more character driven than I expected, which I think some people might like, but honestly for me, I thought the show was very boring, and I thought the story could have honestly been over in like 2 to 3 episodes, and it is a pretty short show. It's about 6 episodes, and no episode really goes longer than like 35 minutes. Like, the episodes are pretty short, but it still felt very long. Like, even when I was watching one episode, I kept pausing and checking how much was left, which I think is never really a good sign, because I just kept being concerned about how much time I had left because I thought it was kind of boring. Then I was watching Pretty Little Liars Original Sin on HBO Max. I have not finished it, so please no spoilers in the comment section. I have about like 2 episodes left, which I think is when they reveal who A is, and I've managed to stay away from spoilers, which I'm really happy about. But my thoughts on the show so far: I'm enjoying it. I'm a really big fan of the original Pretty Little Liars show. Like, that show was my entire life. I would be there every single week watching it on ABC Family before it became Freeform. And, you know, going into this, I can definitely see some of the story beats and some of the character similarities, but I think this show has done a really good job at just being its own thing and not really being too much like the original show. I think some stuff I think is a little bit cringe in the writing, and there's some things that like I would prefer them not to do, but overall I like the mystery. However, I will say that one thing that I think the show lacks, in my opinion, is the sense of like friendship that I think the first show had a lot, because in this show, obviously there's a group of friends, but I don't really buy into that group of friends sometimes. There's definitely a couple people who you can tell are very close and they're constantly together, but as the other ones, I think they're just kind of friends for the story's sake, whereas I think in the original show what I liked about it was that I feel like this friend group was very believable. But I'm very excited to finish it. By next month, when you guys watch my September recap, I will have finished the show and we will talk about it more in depth. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm excited to see kind of where it ends off. The last show that I saw this month, which was literally 1 episode, I'm pretty behind on it, is She-Hulk. And everybody on the internet has had something to say about this show. Like, this show, a lot of people don't like it, and you know, I've only seen 1 episode, so my opinion with the show is definitely not final, but as of the first episode, I think it's alright. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, but I also don't think it's the best at all. I'm intrigued to see where the show goes. I have also stayed away from spoilers, you know, for She-Hulk. Like, I don't really know what's coming in the next episodes, which I'm happy about, but I like the breaking the fourth wall a lot. I think it's really cool, and I like Jennifer Walters' character. I think I like her charisma and I like her energy a lot. I had a good time with it. One thing that I really did like about this first episode was how they explained how she's able to, you know, like hide the Hulk and control it, because she was talking about like women's experiences and how they kind of had to control their emotions and stuff like that, and I really like that. Like, I thought that was a very good way to tie in, you know, her personal feelings as well as women's personal experiences to this Hulk character storyline that we're getting, which I really enjoyed. But yeah, this episode I thought was fine. Like, I honestly don't have any intense feelings towards it. I haven't been eager to check out episode 2 or 3, because at this point I think there's 3 episodes out by the time I'm filming this, or 4. I don't know, I'm very behind. But yeah, I'm not eager to keep it going, but I'm definitely gonna watch it. Yeah, that's it for the shows. Like I said, really little stuff of shows that I've been watching. I'm hoping that I watch some more shows next month, because I have a ton of on my watch list. But yeah, I'm gonna move on to the movies now. And I'm kind of just going to go in the order that I saw them this month. So from the very first movie to the very last movie I saw last month. And the first one that I saw was Bridget Jones' Diary. And I actually saw this on the plane coming back home from vacation. And this was a great plane movie, I will say that, because I was entertained the entire time and it got the time passing. And I thought this movie was really, really cute. It's basically this romantic comedy starring Renee Zellweger, Colin Firth, and Hugh Grant. And honestly, that cast makes the movie, honestly. And I thought the movie was a lot of fun. There's some things that I think are very outdated and are just like kind of offensive that I was like, what, why is this a plot point in the movie? But other than that, I think the movie was really cute, and I, like I said, was really cute, and I enjoyed it. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Then I saw Elvis for the first time. I have a whole video up of me like going to watch it and my experience with the movie, but I haven't really done like a full-on review on Elvis, so I'm gonna just take a minute to talk about it. I really liked Elvis. It's right now like my second favorite movie of the year. I just really liked the way the story was told. Like, I liked that you had a clear-cut villain, you had like the hero character. Like, I just really liked the way it was written and incorporated to fit Elvis's life, and I loved the editing. I love Baz Luhrmann's chaotic energy, and I think this is Baz Luhrmann's most Baz Luhrmann movie, if there ever is one, and I love him. I know not everybody loves that type of style, but I think he pulls it off great, and I think it worked really well here for Elvis. So then after, I saw The Day After Tomorrow, and I thought the movie was fine. I kind of thought I would like it a little bit more, to be honest. I love disaster movies a lot, especially like early 2000s disaster movies, and I thought this one was fine. There was a lot of stuff that I really didn't care for, which that's kind of what it came down with. Like, I only really cared about a certain number of people, especially Jake Gyllenhaal and Emmy Rossum. Like, that's kind of it. Then I saw Prey, and I was very surprised by this, but I really liked it. And I say I'm surprised because I have never been interested in watching any Predator movie. I've never seen any. This is just my first one, and I remember I asked you guys on some live streams, can I see Prey without seeing any Predator movie, because I am not in the mood to just go watch the entire franchise. I first want to say that I loved the performances in this movie, and I loved the action sequences, and the story was just so satisfying. Like, there are certain people in this movie that die that I was just like, they knew what the audience wanted, they knew what I wanted, and I got it. And I think the energy of this Predator, who's very powerful, then you have our main character who's also has this really strong energy paired together, I thought was excellent. Like, it was just so much fun. It was bloody, it was crazy, it was just incredible. I thought it was really entertaining, and I think it would have been so great to have seen this on the big screen, especially because of those crazy action sequences. I feel like the sound design in the theater would have been really great. The next movie that I saw was another Hulu movie. Hulu has kind of been killing it lately, honestly. Is Not Okay, and this movie kind of flew under my radar. Like, I didn't know it was coming out, and I'm very happy that I ended up watching it because I think everybody should. It's super great. And essentially what the movie's about is this girl who fakes going to Paris because she's kind of like one of these characters who she's like forgotten about, like nobody pays attention to her, and then she goes viral on the internet, on social media, and then a terrorist attack happens in Paris. Now she's kind of faced with the consequences of lying because everybody kind of paints her to be like the survivor, and she kind of plays that role throughout the entire movie, and it has a lot of really interesting commentary to say about social media and reality and just like how we view ourselves because of social media. But my favorite thing that I think this movie does is that it doesn't forgive the character, and it lets them have their consequences. It lets them get what they deserve, which I love that, because I think it would have been really easy to write in a happy ending or write in character arcs where, you know, I think in the real world that's not going to happen and they don't deserve that. And you know, I think when you make a social media movie, sometimes you can fall into being really cringe and having like not great dialogue, and sometimes that happens here. There's some moments where I'm like, I wish I wouldn't have seen that. I wish that wouldn't have made the cut. But overall, I think the movie was really great, and I think it kind of just made its point very clearly throughout the entire movie. And then I saw a terrible Netflix original. We've been going with some good streaming movies, but this one was horrible, and it's Purple Hearts. And if you don't know anything about it, I think it would have been better for you not to know anything about it, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. It's basically this girl who marries this military guy for the benefits because she doesn't really have health insurance, so she can't pay. They get married for that, but then it's kind of like a love story because, you know, spoiler alert, they're gonna fall in love. This was just really bad. I really don't recommend this movie unless you want to like watch it with a group of friends and just laugh at it. But even sometimes I'm like, who wrote this? Like, how did this make the cut? So yeah, this movie was not great at all. Then I saw a movie though that broke my entire heart into like a million pieces, and it's $1 Million Baby. I've been wanting to watch this movie for the longest time. I didn't think it would be as sad as it was. Like, I don't know why I didn't see where this was going at all, but the movie was so good. Like, I love when I watch a really great movie and I can just think about it for a long time, and this movie was that. Hilary Swank, this is the best I've ever seen her in. She definitely deserved to win the Oscar, and she just did such a great job. And even though she was with other great actors in this movie, her performance was my favorite, but also her and Clint Eastwood in this movie, like, them paired together, that was freaking great. Like, they just were so good together, and if that didn't work, the movie wouldn't have been as emotional as it was and as great as it was, and I was just so in for this journey. Then I watched The Age of Adaline, which I also think was on Netflix, and I liked it. I thought it was very cute. This is another one that I've been wanting to watch for a really long time. I just never got the chance to, so when I saw that it was on a streaming service, I was enjoying it. And I will say that I thought the romance was very nice, but there's a plot that I think is so strange and so weird that it would require me spoiling, so I won't say it in this video. And it involves Harrison Ford's character, so if you've seen the movie, then you probably maybe know what I'm talking about, but I just thought that whole thing was kind of weird. I will say it was shocking because, one, I didn't even know Harrison Ford was in the movie, but that entire plot, I was like, oh, that's what they're doing. But at the end of the day, I think it was just very charming and cute. Like, I just think it was very wholesome and just, it like put a smile on my face. Then I rewatched Signs, and I actually bought it because I couldn't believe this movie was in no streaming service, and I'm glad I bought it because that is like my ultimate comfort movie. I think what's best about it is that it's obviously a sci-fi movie, but I think it's like a family movie at first. I think it does such a good job at developing this family, talking about their traumas, about this horrible thing that happened to them, and how they're dealing with it through the entire movie, and how they kind of come out of that. Like, I just think that's incredible, and I think M. Night Shyamalan did a really great job at showing that. I think it's also really crazy how even to this day I still get kind of creeped out by the aliens, because if you really pause it and if you really stare at these aliens, they're not creepy. There's definitely something off about them, but I just think the way the suspense is built the entire time is great. Like, even though I knew things were coming, I would still get freaked out. I would still get like anxiety inside of me because I just think the way the movie builds up to things is so great. So I love Signs, and I'm so happy that I have it in my collection now so I can just rewatch it whenever I want. Then I rewatched Orphan because the next day I was gonna watch Orphan First Kill, and let me just say that Orphan still slaps. I had seen this movie such a long time ago, and I remember being terrified of this movie, and it still works. Like, this movie is still great. It wasn't just in my imagination that I was like, oh yeah, this is a good movie. I think this is one of the best horror movies out there, and if you haven't seen it, please go watch it, and please go into it as blind as possible, honestly, because that first time when I saw this movie, back in the day, when I saw that twist, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Love the acting in this movie. First of all, Isabelle Fuhrman, hello. Like, she is so young and she does such a great job playing this menacing character, this horror villain. This movie does such a good job at like keeping you at the edge of your seat the entire time, because it's like a mystery but also a horror movie, because you're trying to uncover what is really happening here, this mystery of this orphan, and at the same time these horrible things are happening to these characters. And at the same time, it's also like a psychological horror movie as well, because especially with Vera Farmiga's character, we're introduced to this movie and we're introduced to this character with the most traumatic thing that she's ever gone through. So it's just a lot of really great elements here happening all at once. This movie is really great. If you have not seen it, like I said, you definitely have to watch it. Because we're talking about Orphan, the next one I'm going to talk about is Orphan First Kill, which, if I was shocked by the first movie, this movie shocked me like 100%. I didn't know anything about this movie either going into it, honestly. Didn't even know that the Queen Julia Stiles was in it because I love her. But this movie, the whole time as I was watching it, I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be the plot. Oh my god, wait, this is the plot. And then I was like, holy crap, this is actually happening. The third act of this movie is great, but even towards the entire movie, there's so many twists and turns here and there that you just don't expect. So then I saw an Elvis movie, and I'm not gonna lie, I like half saw this movie because I wasn't really that interested in it, and I just wasn't fully paying attention to it, but my sister was watching it, so I was watching it with her. It's Viva Las Vegas. The movie had like its fun moments, but I was just like kind of really bored by it. I don't have much to say because I like paid attention to it, but I wasn't like fully invested in it and watching it. But then I watched Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the 1956 version, and I saw this actually in my horror class at school, and I got to see it on the big screen at the movie theater at my school. This movie's great. Like, actually really great. I never really had any urge to watch this movie, but I think if you're like me, I think you should change that and put this at the top of your watch list, because it's one of the better movies that I've seen from the 50s and one of the better horror movies I've seen just in general. I loved the characters in this movie. It's kind of like a love story masked with this crazy horror concept. And what I really liked about it was that, like, it was a mystery as well. Like, mystery and horror, I think, go so well together when you're trying to solve this with your characters. Like, I just think the movie had a lot of great suspense and build up to these really crazy scenes. And I also think since I got so invested into these characters, it made it so much scarier, so much more suspenseful, because when things were to happen to them, it made it more impactful because I cared so much about them. And another thing too that I really liked was that this movie was not scared to give stakes and to mess up with these characters. I really loved Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and I think even though it's a movie from the 50s, it still holds up incredibly great, which I really love. Then I watched another really great movie, and it's Argo, and this movie was also so good at keeping the suspense. Every time I watch a Ben Affleck movie that he directs, I just realize how good of a director he is. I just want to say that I just liked the style of this entire movie. Like, I just really like the way this movie's cut, because the way the movie's cut really helps build the stake. A lot of the times when these characters are doing things that will essentially save them, it cuts to the other side doing things that will hurt them. And I think that combination of editing worked so well in this movie. The next movie that I saw was JFK, and holy crap, this movie was really good. It was extremely long, so I split it into 2 days because it was like a 3-hour and something movie. And every time I watch 3-hour movies, I feel like when I finish them, I feel like I've run a marathon, if that makes any sense. But this movie was like a whole roller coaster and an entire journey. It basically takes you through like these conspiracy theories, you know, regarding John F. Kennedy's assassination, and it was so good. I don't know how accurate any of this is at all, but at the end of the day, this movie was so entertaining. And like, even though it was really long, even though it was 3 hours long, I feel like it flew by because there was constantly so much information given to us, so many like even twists and turns within the storylines and the conspiracies, that it made it so interesting and it made me like want to keep watching. And the finale of this movie is one of the best finales I've ever seen in any movie. It was like, it just felt like a big force. Like, it felt like everything that we've been experiencing through this moment, like, it all paid off, and it was very satisfying to just see how good that finale was, because, like, the whole thing just felt like a perfect roller coaster. I'm just gonna say it like that. You go through all the ups and downs, and then you end the roller coaster feeling great. This movie was incredible, and I highly recommend it. And this wasn't really even on my radar either. I kind of just watched it because I was scrolling through HBO Max, and I'm like, oh, this looks interesting. I clicked it. Oh my god, did not know what I was in for, but it was such a good ride. The next movie that I saw this month was 42. Chadwick Boseman played this character incredibly well, and he really just felt like Jackie Robinson. I think they did such a good job in casting him. All the emotions, everything is really due to his performance and what he was able to convey through the screen, and I think he did such a great job. He was such a great actor, and you can really tell that through this movie. And then I ended the month off by watching a movie I didn't really like that much, but it wasn't that bad, and it was Them from 1954, another one that I had to see for my horror class. In this movie, the whole premise of it is these like big ants basically eating people, which the concept sounds crazy. That's not even the reason why I don't really like it. Just some scenes to me were kind of a miss. I was kind of bored by most of the movie. I thought it was just an average movie that I didn't care too much about. That wraps up everything that I saw this month. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun for me, and I hope it was a lot of fun for you. Hi everybody, angle change. My camera literally just ran out of like storage because I've been filming for way too long, but I'm too lazy to go get another SD card because it's the end of the video. But yeah, make sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I hope you guys can join this awesome community, and I'll make sure to see you all in the next video. Bye everyone!